The City of Waterloo, in cooperation with its many active and inspiring entities, presents Heart for the City, a chance to hear and see what's going on in our city and to meet people who serve you, teach you, entertain you, help you, all neighbors and like you. Make this a city on the move. And now, here's our host, the Honorable Quentin Hart.
Hello everyone, and thank you for watching Heart for the City. I'm Quentin Hart, proud mayor of Waterloo. And even though I work in the city most every day, and in fact grew up in Waterloo, I am still amazed by the many substantial investments and improvement projects emerging and evolving in our city. One of the most important and beneficial projects is the rebuilding of Highway 63, of the 1,286-mile highway that runs from Wisconsin to Louisiana. 12 miles of it cuts through the heart of Waterloo. And after years of planning, our section of the highway is nearing the last construction phase and is already having a great impact on business, recreational, and residential life in the city. And revitalization along the Waterloo route in downtown and the North End is spurring major reinvestment. More on this progress, which started in 2013 and has produced some amazing results after this.
When I ride my bike, I am always very careful and stay safe at all times. I always wear a properly fitted helmet. I check the safety lights in the front and back of my bike, and no matter where I ride, I keep an eye out for cars, even when riding on the sidewalk. This message is brought to you by Drive Safe Cedar Valley.
Welcome back to Heart for the City. So much road work, many detours and slowdowns, but with a little patience, this inconvenience will dissipate and a brand new, much improved road system will emerge. And I have to be honest, sometimes when we hear the complaints, we're really heartfelt about it, but I do love to see construction happening. So, but anyway, okay, let me get back to the script again. So remember you had to drive under the Canadian National Railroad Bridge, driving your newly washed car through standing water, or how you were stuck behind a standing vehicle waiting to make a left turn. But our next guest will tell us how these problems will soon be history. So returning to the show is Pete Hjelmstad, Field Services Coordinator, District 2 office, who is located in Mason City. So welcome, Pete.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
Well, great to have you back. So the big question of the century is, where are we at with Highway 63, and how's the project coming along, and will it ever be done?
Yeah, I'll answer the last one first. Yes, it will get done.
Okay.
Franklin to up to Newell Conger there. They're working on the railroad underpass. Mm-hmm. They've got the new groundwater suppression system in to take care of the water that you had mentioned. Mm-hmm. They are now putting in a bunch of fill. Mainly on the south side, they've got a lot of fill there ready to go where the railroad underpass was. They have fill in already on the north side, mm-hmm. and they have actually built what's called as a shoe fly. It's more or less a detour for the railroad. So the railroad started running on that new track as of yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And now that will allow them to remove the old track. They are going to start next week removing the old railroad bridge.
Oh my God! So the entire railroad portion that was there will be gone.
Yep, that's just moved just a little bit to the north right now, so the
Okay.
trains can continue going through there.
Okay.
They were installing the switch. I was actually out there yesterday when they were installing the switch, so it's
Should've
pretty
called
interesting
me.
to see. Yeah, I should
I
have.
kind of want to walk up that fill a little bit. It looks amazing.
It's
to see it start on that level and then continue all the way up. So
exactly,
wow, what a feat.
it's tell you what, the landscape will be changing. It's already changed in that area, and it's exciting to see it happening.
And I got a long question for you. You
Okay.
answered a part of it, but I want to be really specific
Sure.
For those listening. So there was an installation of a groundwater suppression system
Correct.
at the end of the construction season last year. The underpass hole will be filled and the trains will be running, like you said, on the new embankment. But how does that process actually happen? Because I noticed I saw just ground and more ground, and in it, how does that happen? Is it compacted, or how does that work?
As far as the new grade, yes, that will all be compacted and obviously a solid base for the new highway system.
Okay.
The groundwater suppression system It's mainly to kind of break it down simply. It's a series of pumps, storm sewers, to get the water out of the area. The system you mentioned last year was actually a temporary system to get the groundwater out of there so we could come in and get this permanent system in. So the permanent system will allow us to build over the railroad.
Okay. And then, you mentioned some water, and Verdon Creek is in that area.
Correct.
But by all of this, how is Verdon Creek impacted?
It really shouldn't be impacted. The only really difference is they did some modifications of where the water goes into the creek. Technically, it's the same water going into the creek. They're just moving it through a different way so it's not on the highway.
Right. And then how will pedestrians or cyclists be able to get across the highway? Because previously, I think there was no way. You can ride your bike underneath the stream.
Right.
63 is like it. But how would they be able to move?
It's kind of interesting. It used to be the underpass for the vehicles. It's now going to be an overpass. On the north side of the railroad tracks, there was the pedestrian overpass.
Right.
Now, that overpass is gone. When it's done, there will actually be a tunnel that goes through there to allow people to get across the highway.
Right. And what other improvements can we expect from the new highway?
Well, the big thing is going to be the new highway itself. Get that reconstructed, put that in place. I know there's going to be a bike trail / walking path through the area.
Right.
A lot of different, I know the city has put in money to do like neighborhood markers and things like that, and new street lighting or sidewalk lighting. So it's going to be a really, really nice area through that. It's all going to tie into what we did north of there a few years ago.
Which is a great project and really ties the community in very well. So when will this entire project be completed? So they'll open up the different portions of it, but the portion from, Newell Street to Dane Street, that will be closed for another year?
Yeah, it's actually be closed all the way to Franklin. It will remain closed from Franklin. Where it's closed right now will remain closed. Until late November of next year. There are side streets that go east-west at Dane and at Logan that are open, where they can cross 63 there because the paving in that area is done. So the side streets, you can cross there, but that area will not open until the entire section opens.
So other than this conversation, how can people find out more information about how the project is going?
We've got a Facebook site for Blackhawk and Bremer County where we update as much as we can on there. We also have our 511ia.org site. That's going to give you, when there are detours, there are cameras on several of these projects that you can actually look at to see what's happening, to see if there are traffic backups and stuff like that. So it's a really good resource.
So it's live streaming of some of the areas and things that are taking place?
Yeah, maybe some of the pinch points. I know we've got one up like at Franklin and 63. We had a camera there for the last project. And where we can get them, where they are available, we will put them up.
And this is a pretty hefty project. What would be the total cost you're estimating for the 63?
For the middle project with the overpass, or for the south and the middle?
Let's say the south and the middle as well.
So it's 19.4 and 26.4. So $45.8 million.
And then once again, what happens when you dial 511?
When you dial 511, you're going to get a recording, and it's going to ask you for voice prompts, what part of the state you're looking for, what highway you're looking for, and they will give you road reports. In the winter, they'll give you road conditions. Construction season, they'll let you know if there's construction work going on, detours, things like that.
So if you dial 511, that's when you find out the information. Is there any way to receive other updates? Or?
You bet. The 511ia.org site. You can create an account very simply, and then you can put in like your travel route, what you go to work every day. And if there are things that change on that route, you will get notifications depending on how you set them up through email or text.
Right. And this project has been many years in the overall making. I remember way back in 2008-ish when I first started on city council and starting to hear information. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And then you go through the period where it first started happening on that northern end. Then you're like, man, is this ever going to be done? But to take a look a couple years down the road and see the progress and see what's happened, to see the economic boom that's happened along that northern corridor of this highway has been sensational overall for the community. I don't know what your thoughts are about that.
I completely agree with you. I'm down in the Waterloo, Cedar Falls area a couple times a week, especially during the construction season, and the changes I've seen up there are incredible. I started with the DOT in 2007.
Okay.
So they were talking about this project
Yeah.
then, and to see the progress, it's exciting.
Right. And then I forgot to ask the downtown portion.
Correct.
Will that be open at some point?
Jefferson to Franklin,
Yeah.
we are hoping to have that open by November 20th. So just a
Okay.
couple weeks.
Okay.
That's, if everything holds, we've got some weather stuff and everything we're dealing with,
Yeah.
but we're really hoping that by
Okay.
November 20th we will have that all open.
All right, all right. Well, thanks very much, Pete, for providing your insight into the remaking of Waterloo's section of Highway 63. We appreciate the expert work of the DOT, and we hope you will come back to help us celebrate the completion of this important project next year, and also to discuss the upcoming projects in the future as well. So thank you. And the Iowa DOT reminds motorists to drive with caution, obey the posted speed limit and other signs in work areas. Be aware that traffic fines for moving violations are at least double in work zones. As in all work zones, drivers should stay alert, allow ample space between vehicles, and wear seat belts. And remember, the latest traveler information is available anytime through the 511 system. So visit 511ia.org or call 511 to stay connected with 511 on Facebook. A free downloadable app is available for your mobile device. And how can one squeeze in more reading time or get more steps into daily exercise routines, save money, meet new people, reduce stress, make time for yourself, and get acquainted with the community? Stay with us. The answers are after this.
Traveling to Waterloo is easy. Waterloo Regional Airport, served by American Airlines, offers daily service to Chicago O'Hare with connections to over 700 destinations worldwide. At Waterloo Regional Airport, you'll find friendly ticket agents and helpful personnel so you can fly through security. And with close-in vehicle parking at only $5 per day, Waterloo should be your airport of choice. Waterloo Regional Airport and American Airlines, your partners in air service from the Cedar Valley.
Welcome back to Heart for the City. Public transportation transforms communities and the lives of people living in them by spurring economic development, promoting sustainable lifestyles, and providing a higher quality of life. Every segment of American society, individuals, families, communities, and businesses benefit from public transportation. There is a lot to providing this worthwhile service, and to tell us some of the challenges and reward is no one other but our guru, our transit guru, Mark Little, Met Transit General Manager. So welcome, Mark, to Heart for the City.
Thank you for the invite.
I see, I use the word guru. You got a problem with that?
No, that's okay. That's fine. I've been called others.
All right. Well, Mark, a lot of people know about the bus system, but do they fully know all of the services that Met Transit services provide? Can you let us know a little bit about that?
Sure. And we try to get the information out through our website, through other media forms.
Well, we have 1 million viewers watching
and
this
we're
show,
gonna do it right now.
and they all live in Waterloo.
Okay.
So we don't have 70,000; we have 1 million.
Okay.
So in the Cedar Valley, they'll be watching this show. So
Okay, sure. Met actually provides your standard fixed route bus service, which people normally know as city bus. We also provide paratransit service, which is a door-to-door service for persons with disability. Provide service in Waterloo, Cedar Falls urban area, and paratransit in Evansdale.
And what persons, or how are you qualified to use paratransit? And if someone wanted to get that service, how would they do that?
Sure. Paratransit is a service that is solely for persons with disabilities. They have to be certified, and the certification process just basically says that they're prevented from using our regular bus service due to their disability. Mm-hmm. They fill out an application, the application goes through us, and typically they are certified within a week.
Wow. And I'm glad I'm host now, so I'm not mayor. So I'm glad I get to ask this question. So how have bus benches been made more accessible for persons with specific challenges or disabilities?
Well, some may not know, but Met Transit is an outside organization. We're not a part of the city, but working with the city, they've done a tremendous job, City of Waterloo and in making the bus stops more accessible by having pads and also putting benches there and with the curb cuts.
Right.
And that's important to Met because we pride ourselves on service for persons with disability on all of our routes.
Right. And you know what? We have, there's two great people that come to our council meetings almost I know one comes every Monday and another one comes too. And you know, when you hear about some of their stories and about what they'd have to go through to do that, it makes you a little bit more sensitive to some of the challenges they face as well. So my heart goes out to anyone in that situation, and we constantly need to be thinking about our accessibility and what we do to try to help everyone be able to get around here and do all the things that we take for granted. So thank you. But there's a such thing called major routes. What are major routes?
Our major routes are most of our routes that run to major destinations, which would be crossroads. The new North Crossing, we're so proud of that up on the north end. Cedar Falls, we travel between Waterloo and Cedar Falls. So your major routes are basically the crossroads, the Waterloo, Cedar Falls, and the ones that go north.
Okay. And how do you find out what the bus routes are that are near you? What's the system to finding out?
Oh, I'm sorry. Our website. You can go to our
Your
website.
website.
We have all of those our routes. We have a very good website. I think it's University of Northern Iowa has helped us develop that. Very user friendly, very easy to use. And we just added a new feature here that's going to help our passengers catch the bus too.
What's the name of the app?
It's not an app. It's actually you go.
I kind of like threw that out there.
Great, and we like this, and we're really proud of this. It's not an app, and we save money by not actually purchasing an app. You go to our website and you click at the very top, real-time map, and you're going to this website, and it'll bring up all of our routes. You can click on one; it'll show the bus where it's at real time. It updates every 2 seconds. Then what you can do on your phone is both Androids and iPhones have a feature called Add to Home Screen. And you just add that website to your home screen and it creates a little icon, a little Met bus.
So the app idea, maybe not for a couple years.
Well, this is actually better than an app, I think. You can be used on any platform. And there's no advertising. Right. Folks go right to it.
Okay. All right, you got me. Okay. And so you talked a little bit about using this site, but technology and GPS, can you explain how that digital technology and stuff are all intertwined now? Sure.
It's really evolved over the years. When I started, we operated buses with no power steering, no heat, no air. Basically, you just drove the tank. Now you see in our buses the GPS tracking of all the vehicles. We can track it on the administrative side too to check the speed of the buses in the neighborhoods and how they're doing. And with that, there's been some other technologies that we've also had on the bus that we didn't have years ago.
Can you track on your smartphone though?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how does a driver know if they want to come aboard?
Basically, Waterloo here, we still believe we're small enough that we don't have to have bus stops every 3 blocks. We'll stop at the end of any block. We tell people just act like you want the bus.
Right. And do you need to have exact change?
No.
Okay.
4 years ago, we went to a new electronic fare box. We have cards now. If you put in a $5 bill and the fare is $1.50, you're going to get a card that has a credit of $3.50 on it. So.
And you know, we on the earlier segment we talked about Highway 63, but we also have University Avenue as well. How has that made an impact over the services you provide?
Well, University Avenue and other construction in this area has had an impact on our service. We frequently run late. To get around the detours, we sometimes get caught by the trains. But we know that as they're making progress, this is going to be good for the city, and it's going to be good for Met Transit. If you look at the corridor on University, I think it's going to be really transit friendly, and I appreciate what both cities have done.
And as the community starts to grow with people and businesses and opportunities, do you adjust the bus routes to those, or how often do you take a look?
Well, we make minor adjustments frequently. Right now, we're in the midst of working with Intercog on a major route restructuring, and we're hopeful to have that ready maybe within a year. Where we're going to look at all the routes. We're going to, areas grow, expand. There's more demand for service today than there has been for several years.
Wow.
So we're looking at that, working with Intercog.
And then what portions of how would you base your decision though? So if you're right now headed right on 63 this way, and then how would you make the decision to go maybe left on 63 and go another route? How do you do that?
Sure. Well, we have a new software program to do that now. It's called Remix, and it's a web-based software program that when we make adjustments to the route, it'll give us all kinds of data. The jobs in that area,
Wow.
different persons with disabilities, so we can judge it by that. But the other key indicator we look for is what we call generators. Places of business where workers want to get to. And then your other ones are, of course, your hospitals and other areas like North Crossing.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking time to be with us and providing insight to the world of public transportation. We do know that rides are comfortable, the drivers are helpful and courteous, and it can be a financial bargain for people. And so you can even take your bicycle along as well. The Met Transit is more than just a ride. But a final question, Mark, what is Met's most proud of as an organization in the service you provide?
Sure. I've been with Met for 38 years, and our mission has always been to make sure that transportation, public transportation, is available for all. Now that means ambulatory folks can get on, but persons with wheelchairs, mobility aids, that they can ride. Waterloo Met Transit was the very first system in the state of Iowa in 1993 that became 100% accessible. It means
wow.
every one of our vehicles have a lift or a ramp, and anybody can ride. At several times you'll see somebody in a mobility aid, maybe somebody that's on there that has a bike on the rack, an elderly person, someone getting to work. So we're really proud of transportation for all, and that's what it should be.
Well, I just want to say, since becoming mayor and then knowing you before then, it's been an absolute pleasure and honor to work with you. You'll do your best that you can possibly do to help at least listen to people and try to create winning solutions. But you can find all kinds of information on route schedules, rate information, and other useful information at www.mettransit.org. And remember, the bus is warm in the winter and cool in the summer, so be sure to try it. And by the way, in 2015, the Iowa Public Transit Association received the State Leadership Award by the Community Transportation Association of America. The Metropolitan Transportation Authority of Black Hawk County is an IPTA member, and a Met General Manager, Mark Little, was the association board president. The association was recognized for its tireless and dedicated work to secure investment and support for our community and public transportation throughout Iowa. The award recognizes excellence by a State Department of Transportation or Transportation Association in serving the needs of the transit riders, professionals, and systems in their states. This is a big deal, but more to come. Stay with us. Edna St. Vincent Millay, the Pulitzer Prize winning poet and playwright, once wrote, "My heart is warm with friends I make, and better friends I'll not be knowing. Yet there isn't a train I wouldn't take, no matter where it's going." So how often do we think about trains? Some of us a lot, some not. But to tell us why we should, is Amy Homan, Director of Marketing for the local short line railway company, the Iowa Northern. So welcome to our show, Amy. And what is a short line railroad?
Well, thanks for having me. And a short line railroads are classified by revenue of all things. So a short line, like the Iowa Northern, is a Class 3 railroad that has less than approximately, it changes every year, about $36 million in revenue.
Okay.
So, and then it goes up from there. The big Class 1s that you've talked of here recently have revenues that are over $460 million.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
it's a big difference.
And so when you were a child, did you say, when I grow up, I want to work at the railroads? Or can you tell us a little bit how you became involved in railroading?
Sure. I actually didn't, although I would say that railroading in general is very generational. We have multiple years of people and lots of people that stay in the industry. I grew up from a middle-class family. My mom was in transportation. She was in trucking, however. And so I do remember the day of sitting on the transportation floor listening to her dispatch trucks.
Right.
So I kind of got an inroad then, and then actually I was working for a shipper and had in my entire working career when my boss, the owner of our railroad, recruited me to come work for the railroad to bring in a different perspective, one that of a customer's perspective instead of from the railroad perspective.
Okay. And you mentioned Iowa Northern, but for example, what cities do you serve, and how many miles of track are we talking about?
We have about 250 miles of track.
Oh, wow.
We run from Cedar Rapids through Waterloo and then terminate in Manly, Iowa, and then we have a branch line that runs from Forest City, Iowa down to Belmont.
Okay.
And we go from Waterloo out to Olwine.
And what basic services or what industries do you actually provide service for?
Right. So a predominant part of our business is in the grain and agriculture business. We handle ethanol. We handle a lot of chemicals that support the agricultural industry, like fertilizer, caustic sodas, and those types of things. But then grain ends up being, the baseline of our business, hauling corn and soybeans, moving oats down to Cedar Rapids to Quaker.
And so you also you hosted the Short Line Safety Institute, and that provides services and training for, I believe, some of the what you mentioned a little bit earlier, the more smaller types of railroads. If that's the case, like, what was the training involved? What do you do? I can't imagine, I go to mayor things, but, like, what are some of the things that actually take place?
So the Shoreline Safety Institute was started a few years ago. It's relatively new, and it really is dedicated to shoreline safety and an all-encompassing program for shorelines that don't have the revenue capabilities that the larger railroads do to be able to get access to a lot of really important training. So we actually hosted the Shortline Safety Institute. They came out and did an audit, and they did a thorough analysis from top to bottom on everything safety, all of our handling practices for moving trains, our paperwork, how our employees feel about our company, how they feel about our safety culture, which was a huge learning for us as a short line. Something that we really hadn't thought about is fostering a culture that safety becomes the first thing that our employees think about, not only in their work life, but in their home life.
And with the production of ethanol within the state of Iowa and bumper harvest for field crops, is there enough rolling stock to meet all the demands?
There is. Most railroads in the Iowa Northern including have really invested a lot in rolling stock in the recent years.
Okay.
Not only that, but private industry is investing themselves. So ethanol typically runs on rolling stock that's handled by the company that's shipping it or receiving it. So we're in pretty good shape.
And also, rail service capacity is a concern for our farming industry. And how have you been able to deal with this situation?
Sure. We run a little bit different than a lot of the larger carriers, and our service is really geared towards whatever our customers need.
Okay.
So we gear our program and our plan to serve them based on whatever it is that they need. So it's often during harvest when every elevator is needing to move cars and move product out of their system for us to have multiple deliveries and multiple switches into that location.
And then something a little bit more fun about Hawkeye Express. You drive through Iowa City and you can kind of see it, but Tell us a little bit about Hawkeye Express.
Sure. It started as a program that actually started with my boss in the University of Iowa, and looking at how they could better transport fans to the game. If you've been to Iowa City on a football weekend, you know what it's like.
I remember a little bit of them tailgating. But I can't talk about that right now.
Right.
But yeah,
Not
I
on the
remember
air.
fully. I remember. But yeah, it looks like a lot of fun, and it's like just a great thing to take pride in as well. So, whoever created that, excellent.
Yep, it's a collaboration.
And does the Iowa Northern have any other rail fan events?
So we host the Magical Mix train, the holiday train, every year, and that's a fundraiser for that program. It's near and dear to our heart. Certainly has a personal touch with one of our employees that actually was able to take advantage of that program. So that's a huge event for us as an organization. We'll do customer celebrations. So we had an elevator last year celebrate 100 years in existence. So we ran a special train for them on track that hadn't seen passenger service in probably 100 years. So we'll do a lot of those things. We will work in conjunction with Operation Lifesaver and do safety events across the state of Iowa.
So if I want to host a birthday party, or maybe not.
Yeah, probably not
Are
a
there
birthday
any other?
party.
Because I've never rode on a train
Well, you
before.
can come to
so
the Hawkeye
I
Express.
think we may have to
December
do that.
1st, the fundraiser for Magical Mix.
Okay, I
holiday
may have
train.
to do that. Are there any other thoughts though about bringing back passenger rail service in Iowa?
I don't see it happening in
Right.
Iowa. I mean,
Okay.
I know that there's a project going on between Iowa City and Chicago that may be able to gain some legs underneath it, but it's really hard in Iowa when we just don't have the population density.
And how has this is really important question. How has technology changed overall in railroading?
It's drastic. So
Right.
your previous guest was talking about buses and how it's changed there. I'd say the same thing on the railroad. We track our locomotives. They have GPS tracking in them. Track all of our maintenance of way vehicles.
Wow.
In that GPS, not only does it track where the engine is, it tracks how much fuel consumption it's using. Is it in idle? Are they speeding? Believe it or not, they can speed on the railroad.
Can they go fast? Like
They-
what? Like
Yeah, most trains can go 60 miles an hour is fairly common.
wow.
We typically travel at 10 miles an hour just because of the way that our railroad's set up and the number of communities that we go through. But
And so, when I have ceased to be mayor for the city of Waterloo, could I become an engineer, or how would I go about getting a job?
we'll recruit you and have you come over because we're always looking for
Okay.
qualified people.
Okay.
But our website at www.iowanorthern.com has an online application that can be filled out and submitted, and we are always hiring.
All right. So thank you, Amy, for providing insight into the operation of the Iowa Northern Railroad. It is certainly an important part in our local commerce, and how, through innovation and a great railroad crew, the Iowa Northern is able to keep up with the needs of manufacturers and farmers for the efficient transportation of their goods. According to numbers compiled by Operation Lifesaver, most railroad collisions happen when trains are traveling under 30 miles per hour, and about 64% of all crashes happen during the day. About half of all crashes happen at crossings equipped with active warning devices, and about 25% happen when a vehicle runs into the side of a train. Railroad crossing violations will cost an offender $300 plus surcharges and court costs. So watch for trains. Enough said. And by the way, the next time you're sitting waiting at a train crossing, keep in mind that the Iowa Northern pays over $153,000 in property tax to Blackhawk County each year. We'll be right back.
There's a place that lies directly between where you've been and where you're going. It's the place in the middle, the place where your past and future connect. Hawkeye Community College is that place, connecting you to great faculty, engaged students, and four-year destinations like the University of Northern Iowa. Every masterpiece starts with a blank canvas, and every success story begins with an empty page. Start writing your story today. Hawkeye Community College. Connect.
Well, that's our show. We have an outstanding reference for entertainment, shopping, eating, sporting events, and other activities. and that is the Waterloo Convention and Visitors Bureau newly branded website, experiencewaterloo.com. The website is for visitors and everyone who lives in the area. So take a look. There is an inexhaustible amount of opportunities in Waterloo. And don't miss out on all the exciting activities centered around this season. It's not too late to plan for the special events and the holidays. And remember to tell others that Heart for the City episodes are available for viewing on the City of Waterloo homepage, and that's cityofwaterlooiowa.com. Also, be sure to like the Heart for the City on Facebook. Please join us next time, and thanks for watching Heart for the City. And until then, I think you'll agree it's a great day to be in Waterloo.